Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Reenie and this is of course the Enchanted Planner. I figured I would give you a forward-facing video intro today so you can see the face behind the hands, which is a very strange thing to say. Today I'm planning in my classic vertical for the week of September 20th to the 26th. The theme for the Planable Challenge this week is Seasons Change because of course the autumnal equinox is on Wednesday. So it's a perfect opportunity to pull out the squad girls and have a little bit of fun. So I guess we'll see on the flip side. Well, you'll see me hands on the flip side. Hello, slight change of plans. The audio file for this plan with me ended up corrupted somehow. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but suffice to say, it was actually kind of a blessing in disguise as this plan with me ended up being rather long. So I've just opted to speed it up and just do a voiceover. I'm gradually learning how to better edit videos, but I'm not at the point yet where I completely understand how to cut out bits and transition them well so they don't look really weird. So it's just been considerably sped up to make it less of a time waster for people. Let's be honest. YouTube is a time sink. It's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But it's one of my biggest time sinks. The plan for this layout is to use the squad girls. And I've got squad life and squad goals off to the side there. And I was trying to create a base, but unfortunately I had my carpets cleaned on Friday and everything that needed to be out of the way for the carpet cleaners got put into my scrapbook room or my craft room. And I couldn't get in there to get to my scrapbook paper. But then I remembered I had the brown paper bag off to the side from last week's layout. I'm like, okay, that'll work. So we just tore off some strips and used that. And I inked the edges of them to give them some depth. But unfortunately that was at a part with the video that was all wonky, so I did have to trim that out. But I did ink the edges of each of those to sort of give them a little bit of depth. You can kind of see it there when I got them on the paper trimmer. And I'm just cleaning up the edges because I want it to sit right inside the bottom of the boxes as opposed to being at the bottom of the page. And I'm just going to pencil notch here in a second. There we go. To determine what I want to cut or where I want to cut, because there's more of this than I actually need, which is good because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room on where and how I want to place things. So we're just going to adhere that down at the bottom there. I realize it's not straight, so we need to fix that. And then I'm just going to clean up the other side and use the tape runner from Tombow to lay that down. I love that tape runner. Makes my life so much easier. I also really like the Tombow correction tape. It's awesome. I love it. One of these days I do want to try the one that Elise uses, Plan with Elise. I got to remember the name of it. Dryline, I think it is. I'll have to see if I can find it and try that one out because she swears by it. So I'm playing around with the squad girls from the Squad Life book, but they don't end up staying. I just don't really like the way they look. So they end up off to the side and getting nixed, and I bring out the good old faithfuls from the original squad girls from the Squad Goals book. The sidebar is out of the Squad Life book because the Squad Goals doesn't have any sidebar stickers in it. And the boxes in the Squad Goals book, I don't care for them much either, but I do love the decorative, these guys, the decorative elements. I absolutely love them. So now we're just bringing them out, and because they're a little on the sticky side, we're going to play around on the wax paper just to make sure I don't damage any stickers. And as it turned out, while I was ripping up as I was taking up the one with the girls standing in the leaves, that did rip. It got stuck because it wasn't completely cut where, you pull them off the sticker paper. It wasn't completely cut through and it got caught and they kind of tore the leaves. I was kind of bummed about that, but when I laid it down, it looks fine. You can't really tell that it was even torn to begin with, so I'm all right with that. We're just going to white out the lines in the background so they're not cutting through the heads of the girls, and then I do the same on this side. getting them all laid down the way I want them to and fixing that little, yeah, see, I fix it right there. And then I go in and white out the lines behind them so it's not cutting through their body or their heads, which is what I'm doing next, is just whiting out the line behind them. And I really prefer the look of the gel pen type whiteout, if you will, as opposed to an actual whiteout for that type of stuff. It just looks less obtrusive as opposed to this big white line running through them. Now I'm just looking back in the books. I think I'm on the hunt here now for boxes. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm after. It's boxes. The double box that I pulled with the girl with the pumpkin, it's not ideal, but I cover it up anyways. I make it work. The one book that I did pull out that I thought would complement this really well was Modern Year, because it has a lot of browns and beiges and neutral tones. And it actually came out really good. Like, I'm quite pleased with it, which doesn't always happen. There are some weeks where I'm not overly fond of the spread. I still use it, absolutely. But I'm very happy when it's time to start a new one. I'm sure there are weeks you all can agree. You've done that as well. You can like, I don't want to look at this anymore. It's nice to turn over the page and it's done. That's a thing that I had to adjust my brain to. Speaking of which, I mean, I haven't scrapbooked in several years, but the concept with scrapbooking is you expend all this money on these supplies and, those, they stay. Like, you give the books to your kids, or you have them on the shelf for years and years and years. Yeah, with planning, when I first started, I was like, okay, so I'm going to spend all this money to put stickers down on something I'm inevitably going to throw away. Like, that was a real big brain adjustment for me, really, because I'm like, I'm going to be literally throwing this money out. But it gives me joy. It feeds my soul. It's a creative activity. It's a creative outlet that I get to do, that I really enjoy, and I get to share it with others, which is the other fantastic thing. Like, the planner community is amazing. There is the drama. I've come across that a few times. I'm like, really? But I just smile and nod. Not my circus, not my monkeys. But, I love this. So I haven't gotten to the point where I'm throwing anything out yet, because I've only been planning since January of 2020. And as it's only September of 2021, I have not thrown out last year's planners. But I can't see myself keeping planners for years and years and years, right? Eventually I'm going to run out of space. But it will be yet to be revealed if I'm okay with throwing them out, or if I'm literally going to hang on to them or try and hang on to them as long as I can. Time will tell, right? I put this double box down and I'm really not happy with the placement of it. And I'm also not fond of the fact that there is the girl with the pumpkin, because in my world, pumpkins don't make an appearance until October. Autumn, we get the leaves. We got apples, absolutely, because it's harvest time for apples. But pumpkins, yeah, I know they're in the field and whatnot, but to me, pumpkins is October. If it was little gourds and stuff, that to me is fall. That's autumn for sure. But pumpkins, no, that's an October thing. And like here, we decorate, well, in my house anyways, like I'll decorate for autumn usually. Well, this week is usually when I decorate for autumn. And then October 1st, I start decorating for Halloween. So there's a bit of a blend for autumn and Halloween stuff. And then at the end of October, all of it comes down and it gets put away, because our Thanksgiving is in October in Canada. It's not November like you guys in the US. So that's kind of like a real great bonus. I'm like, if our Thanksgiving was in if it was in November like the US, we'd be able to have all that decor up for like a whole month more, but we don't. So I have like a month basically where there's not much decor. I don't really start decorating for Christmas until December 1st. So I got a month with no decor. It looks a little odd, but it's all right. So I'm just playing around with the placement. And as you see, I fixed that pumpkin in the corner there by laying a box over top of it and just shifting the box right to the center of the other two. And now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to make this work, because I want to lay that box down, but it can't be covered up. Like the tea would be covered up if I lay it underneath, and I don't want to lay it over top. So it inevitably doesn't end up making it onto the spread at all. I go into the Squaird Life book and find some smaller boxes, and these work because this is a week where I actually have something every day that I need to remember, in addition to all of the little stuff that I have going on that, you know, you make notes of and whatnot. But this is a day where I actually need a box every single day. But I also don't want it to be too heavy because there's so much decor at the bottom. So I'm opting to go in now with some bullet points and trying to find some headers shortly. So the bullet points in the Squaird Life book are perfect. They match really, really well, of course, with the Squaird girls, period, because they're the autumn kind of colors, regardless of what book you're in, Squaird Goals or Squaird Life. Then I go on, like, I'm going to bring in some headers, and I'm trying to figure out if I can make this little puppy work, but inevitably he just kind of looks out of place. After I finished this spread, I went and hunted down a tree to put in between. I had used the tree out of the Squaird Goals book already in a different spread. I think it was last autumn, but I have a few of these books, so I had a backup one, but I also don't really want to go using them all in one season, because then I don't have them if I wanted to plan another seasonal spread or a fall spread next year. The struggle is real, I tell you. The struggle is real. So I'm just laying in some headers, and I've rearranged some of the placements of the bullet points to make it work a little bit better, because if I was going to lay in a header, I needed the room. Now I'm just trying to see if I can find a quote anywhere that would work, and not really coming up with much. But I noticed that the hole there, and something needs to go in there. So I go back into one of the box. Oh, no, modern year. And that doesn't end up staying. What ends up going in there is a box out of the Squaird Life book. I lay this one down, but I realize that I literally have the same box on both sides of the page, and I'm not quite liking that. So I go back into the Squaird Life book. Oh, no, I didn't. I stayed with it. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there and realized I was talking about a different spread. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and we'll see you again very soon. Ciao!